Welcome back. Today we have something a little special for you. Recently, Amazon UK got their hands on a pre-release Wasp Hero Pack, and it was then legally purchased by someone who then went ahead and scanned all the cards and released them to the world via the internet. So we have obtained these card images, so you can see a total breakdown of this pack before it is released. And as a special caveat, this is your one and only spoiler warning because all of the cards will be shown. And just as a reminder, these cards were obtained legally from Amazon UK, and then they were released on the internet, and the card image sources came from Hall of Heroes. So all of that said, let's get into Wasp. So let's start with the alter ego, Nadia Van Dyne, Recovery 3, Girl action, shuffle up to 2 cards with a printed mental resource from your discard pile into your deck once per round. That is amazing. I can think of already so many uses for that. So 2 cards with mental resources back into your deck. Fantastic. Hand size 6, hit points 11. That's very good. Wasp, this is tiny form. Thwart 1, attack 1, defense 2. So total stats of 4. That's about right. A little bit low, but it's fine for tiny. Small but mighty. Response after Wasp or an event you play defeats a minion or side scheme. Deal 1 damage to the villain. So dealing 1 damage to the villain by itself is not so special, not so impactful, but look at all the conditions here. After Wasp or an event defeats a minion or a side scheme. So there's going to be lots of different triggers for this to happen. So it's going to happen many times. Very good. Hand size of 5, which is good. That's great for hero form. And giant size, that just like Ant-Man, this is going to be a 2 hero form hero. And there will be an oversized card. This is the oversized giant card. And it says 2 thwart, 2 attack, 3 defense. So normally stats are between 5 and 6 total. But here we have stat line of 7, which is incredible. She's very strong. And threat you remove using your basic thwart power, thwart, can be divided among schemes as you choose. Damage you deal using your basic attack power can be divided among enemies as you choose. So this is great. This is awesome. This gets rid of the hassle of, you're doing 5 attack on a minion that has 3 health and you think, oh man, I'm wasting 2 attack here. No problem. Do 3 on one minion, 2 on someone else. That's great. Same with thwarting. Maybe you only have 1 or 2 left on a side scheme, but you're thwarting for 3 or 4. Great. So you can just split it up. I love that so much. That's really great. All right, getting into the spoiled cards now. So Ant-Man, Scott Lang is the signature ally. He has 2 thwart, 2 attack for 4 cost, 3 health. This is pretty average and pretty good, I'd say. It's on par. Let's check out the abilities. While you're in giant hero form, Ant-Man gains the giant trait and gets +1 attack. While you're in tiny hero form, Ant-Man gains the tiny trait and gets +1 thwart. This is amazing. So he can either be a 3-2 or a 2-3. For 4 cost, 3 health, that is great. Good value. Alright, getting into more signature cards here. Event, giant help, 2 cost. Hero action, thwart. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. Remove a total of 4 threat divided among schemes as you choose if you're in giant hero form. So this is interesting. This is kind of the opposite of Ant-Man because he was very much, giant form is all about the damage. Tiny form is all about the threat. There were some exceptions with the army ants and that kind of thing. But yeah, I like to see this kind of opposite mode here. So remove 3 threat or 4 threat, and you can divide it among the schemes. Again, I love to see that. That's so great for tactical plays. Yep, so then we go, there's 2 of those it looks like. And then Pinpoint Strike, another event, 3 cost. Hero action, deals 7 damage to an enemy. If you're in tiny form, this attack deals 1 additional damage to that enemy and gains overkill. This is crazy. For 3 cost, you're going to do 8 damage overkill. That's like a supersonic punch or whatever. I think even maybe Thor has something like that. So this is just amazing. This is really good value for 3 cost. Awesome. And again, the interesting thing is she's in tiny form. So it looks like tiny form is where her big damage is going to come from. So we have 4. So it looks like 3 of those. Then we have Rapid Growth, 1 cost event, Giant, superpower, Hero Interrupt. When you use one of your hero's basic powers, thwart, attack, or defense, change to your giant hero form and get +2 to that power for this use. This is amazing. I mean, just being able to change forms for 1 cost is awesome, but then to get +2 to your stat at the same time, that's just bonkers. That's just crazy town. For 1 cost, that's incredible value. Love that card. So let's see how many of those we have. We have 2 of those. Next we have Wasp Sting, 2 cost event. Attack, hero action attack. If you're in giant form, deal a total of 4 damage divided among enemies as you choose. Attack, hero action. If you're in tiny form, deal 5 damage to 1 enemy. So again, this is pretty cool. I love this dividing damage among enemies. She's going to be so good at board clears and board wipes. It's going to be fantastic. And I like having this option here where you can be in giant form and you can spread it out, or you can just go into tiny form and just do 5 straight up to 1 single enemy. So I really like having those options. And that's strong. 4 damage and 5 damage for 2 cost. That is really great. So let's see how many of those we have. 2 of those. Okay. Then we have this resource card, which is similar to Ant-Man. Pim Particles, hero response. After you spend this card, heal 2 damage from your hero if you're in giant form, or draw 1 card if you're in tiny form. And you know, when I first saw this in Ant-Man, I was kind of like, yeah, that's okay, that's cool. But then once I played it in Ant-Man, it's amazing how often this happens, and you get real good benefit from this in the game. So she's got 2 of these as well. All right, we have another single card here. This is an upgrade. It's Red Room Training, and it says skill. While you're in giant hero form, you gain Retaliate 1. Awesome. I'm a big fan of having Retaliate. It knocks tough status off. It gets rid of pesky little minions without wasting hero actions. It's just great. While you're in tiny hero form, your basic attacks gain piercing. So that just discards the tough status. That's okay. I mean, it's fine. No big deal. We have other ways to get rid of tough status, but it's nice. I'm more interested in the first one, the Retaliate 1. That's more impressive to me. But 2 cost upgrade for Retaliate 1, good deal. So that's 1 of those. Next, another upgrade, 2 cost, Biosynthetic Wings. This is a tech upgrade. Wasp gains the aerial trait, Interrupt. When you would take any amount of damage, if you're in tiny hero form, exhaust Biosynthetic Wings, prevent 1 of that damage. So that's fine. Again, it's kind of meh in general, but I can see uses for Retaliate. If the minion or the villain have Retaliate, you know, you can prevent that damage, or there's some pesky 1 attack minion that's just hovering around, you haven't got rid of them yet, then again, you can just get rid of that damage. So it's preventing 1 damage per exhausting of the card. So it's not per attack. So that was 1 of those. And now Wasp's Helmet. So you know from Ant-Man, the helmet is going to be good. So 2 cost upgrade, Wasp's Helmet, Armor Tech. While you're in giant hero form, you get +1 thwart. While you're in tiny hero form, you get +1 attack. Look at this. That is awesome. So, you know, giant form already, we said she had like stat line of 7, right? So that means she had 2. So she's going to have 3 thwarting in giant form. And then tiny, I don't remember what she had. Maybe it was probably 2. So probably she's got 3 in tiny form. So again, we're seeing this like flip, this reversal of Ant-Man, where she wants to be in tiny form to do her big damage, and giant form seems to be where she's going to do most of her thwarting. So that's going to be kind of interesting teamwork between the 2 of them. One will be tiny a lot, and one will be giant a lot, depending on how the damage is going to be going. All right, so those are the signature cards. Let's go into the aspect cards. Well, first we have to deal with her obligation. So we have Red Dreams. That's pretty cool art. So you may flip to Alter Ego, pre-standard. Exhaust Nadia, remove Red Dreams from the game. Okay, that's pretty basic. That's what most of them do. Discard each card with a printed mental resource from your hand and take 1 damage. Taking 1 damage is not a big deal, but losing all of your mental cards could be a big deal, depending on how you build her, because she does have the Alter Ego action of getting those cards back. So again, it's not that big of a deal. You'll get 2 of them back again. So I think all in all, it's not really a big deal, this obligation. This is the side scheme, Nemesis side scheme, Mother's Orders. Mother has sent one of her most devious henchmen after Wasp, hoping to recapture the Red Room escapee. As an additional cost for each hero to make a basic attack, that hero must spend one of any resource. Wow. Okay, so you just want to swing with your hero, and this is any hero. So if you're playing multiplayer, this affects your teammates as well. So everybody's got to pay a resource to swing with their hero. That's brutal for, people like Cap who want to swing twice. Good news though, it has no special icons, and it only costs 2 per player to get rid of it. So that's a nasty effect, but it's easy to get rid of. Here's the Nemesis Minion, Beetle, 1 scheme, 1 attack, 4 health, guard, forced interrupt. When Beetle is defeated, choose either spend a physical resource or shuffle Beetle into the encounter deck. Not very threatening here. I mean, 1 attack is not a big deal. 4 health, I think Wasp is fully capable of getting rid of 4 health pretty quickly. Guard is just kind of minor annoyance. And I think it's not really that big of a deal to just pay a physical resource. So the interesting thing is it says spend a physical resource. It doesn't say from your hand. So, you could use something like the Queen Carrier or whatever to also pay for that. So I think it's very minor minion here. Nothing really to worry about. Let's look at the Nemesis cards here. So an attachment, Beetle Armor Mark IV, Armor Tech, attached to Beetle if able. If you cannot, attach to the villain. I like that. Attached character gets +4 hit points. I mean, for Beetle, that's more annoying to have her with 8 hit points in guard. That's, of course, more annoying. The villain, 4 hit points is not that much. We can get rid of that pretty quick, too. Then we have 2 copies of this Treachery. Beetle Mania. When revealed, Alter Ego, this card gains Surge. When revealed Hero, Beetle attacks you with +1 attack. If no attack was made this way, this card gains Surge. So we knew before that her attack was 1, so it's going to be an attack of 2. And I guess she just gets an extra activation, or the card gains Surge. Again, kind of meh, no big deal. Alright, aspect cards, here we go. So we've got Thor, Jane Foster. 4 cost, 1 fort, 2 attack, 4 health. This is pretty on par, I would say, with some other allies we've seen. Asgard, of course, Avenger. Response after you play Thor from your hand, deal 2 damage to the villain, 3 damage instead if you paid for this card using a physical resource. Now we're talking. So she can Alpha Strike for 5 damage and then do another 2 damage repeatedly on another turn until her, obviously, life points are used up. So that is great. A 5 damage Alpha Strike with her is awesome. That is worth 4 cost for sure. Good value there. Alright, Wasp, Janet Van Dyne. So the hero we're using is Nadia Van Dyne. This is Janet Van Dyne. And 0 cost, 0 health. We've seen this before with Hank Pym, Ant-Man in Leadership. 1 fort, 3 attack. Look at that. Wasp gets +1 hit point for each Pym counter on her. When Wasp enters play, place 1 Pym counter on her to a maximum of 3 for each energy resource you overpaid for Wasp's cost. This is great. What an awesome ally. So, of course, you're going to put 3 in here. Why wouldn't you? So you're going to pay 3. She'll have 3 health. She's going to do 3 attack each time. That is awesome. For 3 cost, that is fantastic. But you have to make a note here that it says energy resource. So you can't use any other type of resource. It has to be energy. So even if you try to put in, just 1 mental, it's still going to be 0. So that's a key point you have to keep in mind. Still, I think I like that. I think that's a really clever way to control the power creep a little bit. So it's not just like she's just an auto-include. I mean, she's obviously going to be an auto-include, but I like that there's still a bit of intelligent control here in the power creep for the meta. All right, into the fray. So those were allies. They had 1 copy of each. Now we have 3 copies of this event. Into the fray, 3 cost event, attack, hero action, attack, deal 6 damage to a minion. For each point of excess damage dealt by this attack, remove one threat from the main scheme. I like this. I'm just gonna say I like this because always when I play aggression, the struggle is real to control threat in solo play. I'm talking about obviously when you play multiplayer, you've got a buddy who's playing justice or leadership, and it's not a problem. But I play a lot of solo, so I love to see cards like this that are going to help me do double duty. So doing 6 damage to a minion is great. That's going to get rid of something like a Madam Hydra, no problem. It gets rid of a lot of the Nemesis minions, and even if you get rid of a little guy, then whatever kind of overkill you do is removing threat on the main scheme. Love it. For 3 cost, I think that's very good. I would pay that. So 3 copies of that. 3 copies of this one. Another event, 1 cost. I love 1 cost events. Surprise attack. I love that art. Daredevil. I can't wait for Daredevil. Attack. Hero response. After you change form, deal 3 damage to an enemy, 4 damage instead if you paid for this card using a physical resource. So this is like the Justice card we saw, and I think there's maybe a leadership card as well. So this is really dependent on the heroes that are going to be flipping a lot. So obviously Ant-Man and Wasp are going to be doing that. There's other heroes that are going to be flipping. If you play Thor, it's a common strategy to use him back and forth, keep flipping. So you can do some really good damage benefit. So 1 cost when you do flip, deal 3 damage to an enemy, or 4 if you pay a physical resource. That is great for 1 cost. If you time that right, awesome. Awesome card. So 3 copies of that. 3 copies of a support called Boot Camp. 3 cost. Location. Play under any player's control. Max 1 per player. Each ally you control gets +1 attack. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So this is kind of like in the same line as team training. It's more expensive than team training. That was 2, this is 3, so I think that's a little bit pricey, but the value of having +1 attack on all your allies could be very good. Now this is an aggression card, so you really got to think about how many aggression allies you're actually playing to whether you're going to get value for this for 3 costs. But I think it's worth a shot, and I think in the right decks this is going to be an awesome card. Why not? +1 attack for your allies? Why not? So I'll give it a shot. I think it's alright. Alright, Lie in Wait. So there's 3 copies of Boot Camp, 3 copies of this one. 1 cost upgrade. Preparation. Okay, we're seeing more preparation cards now. Max 1 per player. Hero response. Attack. After a minion engages you, discard Lie in Wait. Deal 3 damage to that minion. Love it. I love this. This is so great. For 1 cost, you just lay it down on the board, just leave it, and then next time a minion comes out, bang, 3 damage. It's like a little Hawkeye. So this is great. I think this is awesome, and why not at least include 1 of these in your aggression deck, if not more? So that's very cool. And this is especially good for aggression, or even any kind of hero that's playing very low hand size, like Thor and Hulk. They need these low cost cards, and they need to flush cards out of their deck, and they need to get cards on the table that can be activated later. So I think this is really, really great for those heroes. But I think this is just an awesome card in general. Okay, we have some neutral cards. We have Ironheart, Riri Williams. 2 cost ally, 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 health. So basically she's a trump blocker. Response, after you play Ironheart from your hand, draw a card. Okay, card cycling is good. I've recently come around to really appreciate card cycling. So this, she's basically a blocker who draws you another card, which means she essentially costs 1, and you get to see some different options in your hand. So I think it's alright. I think people are going to play this. So that's a 1 of. Spider-Man Miles Morales. Yes, please. Come on. Here we go. 3 cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 health. Okay, that's good. That's very good. That's definitely on par with other allies we've seen. Champion, of course. Response, after you play Spider-Man from your hand, choose thwart or attack. Spider-Man gets +2 to the chosen power until the end of the phase. Wow. Okay, that is very cool. So he's either a 3 thwart or a 4 attack on the turn that you play him from your hand. So again, you can't use like make the call because it has to be from your hand. So they put that little caveat in there. But if you can find a way to cycle through your deck quickly or get him back into your hand, if there's some cards, bounce cards later or something like that, this is just awesome. Anyway, this is great value to do 4 attack for 3 cost and then do 2 attack thereafter. Great. Again, it's all about, we're seeing this like emphasis on the alpha strikes, getting these allies out and boom. So now think about this too. If you put, he's a neutral card, so if you put him in a leadership deck and you put Get Ready, you have a couple copies of Get Ready in your hand, and he's doing his alpha strike for 4, and then you Get Ready him, he's doing 8 damage. You know, you put an Honorary Avenger on him the first time too, slap a Sky Cycle on him, away you go. So anyway, great hero. Love it. Or great ally, I should say. I love it. And glad to see him in the game too. Alright, Swarm Tactics. We've seen this before in Ant-Man. This is just the Wasp version. So it's a team-up card. You have to have Ant-Man and Wasp on the table in some form. It could be hero or ally, but they both have to be on the table, 1 per deck. Change to your other hero form, ready your hero. That's great. So again, it depends how often you think you're going to actually see this, but I think it's a cool card in and of itself, and I think team-up is a cool mechanic. So we've seen this in Ant-Man before. Alright. I think there's 2 copies of this one. So Power in All of Us, max 2 per deck, double the number of resources this card generates when paying for a basic card. So this is like Power of Leadership, Power of Aggression, Power of Protection, Power of Justice, but it works for the basic cards. That's cool, you know, it's fine. If you, I heard like some people are starting to make like neutral decks where they just fill their decks with all neutral cards. So if you go that way, you know, why not? It's a wild resource if nothing else, and it can help you pay for helicarriers, Avengers Mansions, things like that. So I think good. All right, Athletic Conditioning. I think there's 3 of these in the pack. It's a 1-cost event. Hero action, discard 1 stun or confused status card from your hero. It's not bad. It's 1 cost. That's pretty cheap to get rid of a stun or confuse. It can save you a turn of having to pointlessly, you know, exhaust your hero to do that. But the timing is going to be a little tricky though, because what are you going to do? Hang on to this card in your hand, just waiting for eventually you're going to be stunned or confused? Or, you know, you're already stunned or confused and you're just hanging around and, oh, cool, I drew the card. So again, it's kind of like, it's a nice idea, but in practicality, I'd have to see how it goes in actual gameplay to see whether this is actually valuable or not. All right, and it's worth noting there's also a Queen Carrier in this pack. So finally we can have our second copy of Queen Carrier, guys. We can have a Queen Carrier in 2 decks without switching cards back and forth. I personally love that because it makes me crazy as a solo player switching my Queen Carrier all around in my decks. So I'm happy about this. All right, Leadership. So we have 3 copies of this, 2-cost event, all for 1. It's an attack. Hero action, deal 3 damage to an enemy and exhaust any number of Avenger characters you control. Deal 1 additional damage to that enemy for each character exhausted this way. So 2 cost for 3 damage is on par with a Haymaker. So that's fine. But if you play Leadership Ally Swarm, then, you know, hey, look at this. You've got at least 3 Avengers out. You've probably got maybe Stinger out too, so that could be 4. You've got Avengers Tower, Triskelion out. Maybe you got 4 or 5 Avengers out at once. I mean, realistically, you might not, but let's just, like, in a blue sky world, let's say. So let's say, you know, hypothetically speaking, you've got 4 or 5 Avengers out. Then you're going to deal 3 damage plus 4 or 5 more damage for 2 cost. So if you can make that happen, and you build your deck that way, I think this card will be bananas. It'll be bonkers for sure. So that's cool. I like having those options. Protection, 1-cost event. Perseverance. Look at that art. I love it. Any kind of art with Daredevil is always so good. Hero response, tactic. After you change form, give your hero a tough status card. That's pretty cool. I like that. For 1 cost, I do like that. Again, it's kind of dependent. Like, you have to know that you're going to flip when you have the card or hold the card to when you flip. But I think that's great. I think that's very good. I can think of a lot of good uses because anyway, you're usually the one who's defending if you're a protection player. So you don't have to tap out or you can defend one time undefended, take it on the tough, and second time you defend for your buddy. So great. Love it. For 1 cost, that's good. And Justice, 2 cost event, Running Interference. That's pretty cool art too. Thwart, play only if your identity has the Avenger trait, no problem. Hero action, remove 2 threat from the main scheme. Okay. Remove X additional threat from the main scheme to a maximum of 3, where X is equal to the villain's stage number. Hey, okay. So if you play expert mode, this is going to be at least 2 right from turn 1. So we're looking at 2 plus 2 threat. So that's 2 for 4. That's basically a it's basically a for justice, or lay down the law, but you don't have to have any special conditions for the resource requirement. So you just pay 2 straight up, and boom, you got 4 off the main scheme. Only the main scheme. Yeah, only the main scheme. But if the villain is on 3rd stage and you're playing expert, that's of course possible, then it's going to be 5, 2 for 5. So I think that's fine. That's great. Why not? You know, I think it's good to have these 1 cost, 2 cost threat removal options. And yeah, I think this card is fine. This might replace For Justice for some people because you don't have to pay the mental resource. So you can just automatically make sure that you get 4 threat off. So I like it. I like this card. All right, so that was it. So it's 3 copies of that as well. So those are the cards from the Wasp pack. So again, these cards were leaked on Amazon UK. They were sold there. The pack was sold there pre-release, and someone bought it and they scanned it and they released all the images to the internet. And I grabbed these images from Hall of Heroes, but I'm sure you can find them all over the place right now. So it looks like an awesome pack. Even though you're seeing the spoilers, it just makes me want the pack even more. I think this is a great pack. Personally, I like Wasp more than Ant-Man from what I'm seeing initially. Again, I gotta play it first, but for me, this looks like more what I was looking for with Ant-Man. What I wanted Ant-Man to be is here in Wasp. A little bit more, yeah, a little more my playstyle. Let's just say that. A little more offensive, a little more aggressive, a little more matching the way I want to play it. So, and I love these cards, these new aspect cards. There's so many great cards here. Lots of good aggression cards we got in the pack. She's an aggression pack, so we got some good stuff there. And yeah, she looks like a really great hero. So I've already got her pre-ordered anyway, but I'm definitely looking forward to playing her. So I hope you enjoyed checking these out, and I hope you're also looking forward to picking up your pack later when it releases on January 8th, I believe. Alright, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos, and I'll see you next time.